has a dual meaning. The Shamayim can mean where the clouds are. 1 Thessalonians 4, believers will be caught up in the clouds to meet Yahshua in the air, and so we shall ever be with the Master. 1 Thessalonians 4, 16, 17, and 18, wherefore comfort one another with these words. We are going to be caught up in the air, the same place Eliyahu was caught up in the air. And the other word for Shamayim, singular, is where Yahweh resides, where the spirits of the righteous go after death, after Yeshua's resurrection. Again, so when the word of Yahweh says Eliyahu went up in a Merkava, a chariot, in a Merkava to the Shamayim, that does not mean, Daryl, to Yahweh's throne. It means to the clouds right above the earth.
Exactly.
You getting this?
We got it.
The same place we go when Yeshua returns. To the clouds, right above the earth. Eliyahu, I'm going to prove this to you now. Don't lose me now. Whatever you do, don't lose me. Eliyahu was taken up to the air, the atmosphere over this planet Earth. That is the first of three heavens, the Shamayim, the first heaven. He was not taken to Yahweh's throne. He was not taken to the third heaven. Where did this chariot of fire, this whirlwind, take him? We will investigate that in a second. But now I want you to go to Yochanan 3:13. Is anyone enjoying?
Amen. Amen.
Let's try this side.
Wow.
Oh, there is no this side.
Go ahead, we can do it.
Let's go back here. Yochanan 3:13.
Yay!
All right,
Yeah.
Yochanan 3:13 says this.
Baruch Hashem
Baruch
Yahweh.
Hashem Yahweh. Yochanan 3:13. Notice we're having fun on Shabbat in the Word of Yahweh. Elijah didn't go to heaven, brother.
Oh my.
Which one?
How many? Can you hear the moos in the radio audience?
Oh, yeah.
Moo, it's dying hard. Religious cows are dying hard. They don't go without a fight. Moo, moo. Don't walk on my doctrine, Rabbi. This is very precious doctrine to me and to my family. Don't walk on my doctrine.
Dirty.
Yochanan 3:13. I said Yochanan 3:13. Ready for this, Darryl?
Oh, yes.
No man has ascended to Yahweh's throne, Shamayim, but the one who came down from the Shamayim. Stop. What Shamayim did Yeshua come down from? The throne. Yeshua didn't come from the air. Yeshua didn't come from the stratosphere. Yeshua didn't come from the atmosphere. Yeshua came directly from Yahweh's bosom.
Amen.
Where's Yahweh's bosom seated? On his throne. No man has ever gone up to the throne of Yahweh except Yahshua, who came down to open the doorway to the Shamayim. Once Yeshua came down to open the door to the Shamayim, then men's spirits who were redeemed and washed in the blood of Yeshua were able to ascend to the throne of Yahweh. But before Yeshua died and rose from the dead, no man has ascended except the one who descended.
Exactly.
That's right.
So there goes Elijah, Darryl. How could Elijah have ascended to Yahweh's throne?
Exactly.
If no man has ascended into the heavens
Wow.
before Yahshua. Was Eliyahu before Yahshua
Yes, he
or
was.
after Yahshua?
Yes, like Enoch.
Was Eliyahu before Yahshua
Yes.
or after Yahshua?
Before.
Excuse me. Should I trust Pastor McGillicuddy's catechism class, or do we trust the word of Yahweh? The lips, the blessed lips of Yeshua, the Son of Yahweh. Whose lips do we trust?
Amen.
Yeshua.
Yeshua.
Yeshua said point blank, nobody has ever gone up to Yahweh's throne in the third heaven except the one who came down, and that's why he is the Holy One of Israel.
Amen.
No man has ever come down from that throne because no man was ever able to ascend to that throne. So in other words, in light of Yeshua's exploration and clarification of 2 Kings 2, 1-3, Eliyahu was taken up by a Merkava, but he was taken up to the atmosphere of the planet, which is the heavens, the first heaven. Is it heaven, Darryl?
Yes.
Yes. Why?
Because
It's the first of three heavens. You can't get to the third heaven until you go through the first and the second heaven.
Exactly.
So he was not taken to Yahweh's throne. The Merkava took him up to the air. Write that down. He took him up to the air. We're going to go quickly now because I have a lot to cover and I want to leave Enoch for next week. Second Melachim, you get on now, but when I'm finished with you, you won't be on. You'll be kissing. Second Kings 2:16. 2 Kings 2:16. Melachim Beit 2:16. And they said to him, see now, there are with your Avadim 50 strong men. Let them go ask you and seek your master. If perhaps the Ruach of Yahweh has taken him up and cast him upon a mountain or upon a valley. Elisha said, you shall not send anyone. When they urged him, until he was ashamed, he relented and said, okay, send therefore 50 men. They sought for him for 3 days, but they found him not. Okay. Now, see now, Elisha said, it was told to take 50 men to seek who?
Eliyahu.
To seek who? To seek Elijah. If perhaps the Ruach has done it again,
Right.
what did the Ruach do all the time? Kept taking him up, kept taking him away. So they said, look, let's send 50 men. Let's look for Eliyahu. If perhaps the Ruach of Yahweh has done it again. And done what? Taken him up again. And where did the Ruach of Yahweh take him in the past?
Same place, right?
Upon a mountain or upon a valley? Does that say the throne of Yahweh?
No.
Whenever the Ruach of Yahweh would translate Eliyahu, where would he wind up?
Mountain.
In a mountain, a city, or in a valley. Can I hear a good amen? So in other words, let's send out a search committee. They urged him to go searching. They sent 50 men. They sought him for 3 days, to see if there was any Elijah sightings. This is after he allegedly went up to heaven. They sought him for 3 days, and what? They found him not. Verse 14. So the Ruach lifted me up and took me away, and I went in bitterness in the heat of my Ruach, but the hand of Yahweh was strong upon me. What did Elisha say? Darrell, I looked for him, and the Ruach lifted me up and took me away.
Oh.
I couldn't, it lifted him up in a chariot and took Elijah away, but then it did the same thing to me because he had a double portion of Elijah's. In other words, in those days, because of Baal and because of the Canaanites and because of the pagans, the Ruach of Yahweh would take the Nevi'im of Yahweh, the prophets of Yahweh, and lift them up and take them away to a mountain or to a valley, and they would just disappear in the eyes of all Israel. Can I hear a good amen?
Amen.
So the Ruach, who's talking in verse 14? Who's talking in verse 14? Elisha! He said, we went out to look for Eliyahu, correct? We couldn't find Eliyahu. For 3 days, they did not find him. Brothers, I want you to think back. Don't turn there for the sake of time. In Maaseh Shlichim, Acts 8:26 through 28, 8:39 through 40, there was a prophet, a disciple named
Philip.
Philip. Philip was transported through the air between Jerusalem and Gaza. He was mikvahing, not the Ethiopian eunuch, but the Ethiopian believer, because no eunuch could worship in the temple in Jerusalem. That word mamina is the Aramaic word believer, similar to the eunuch, Aramaic word for eunuch, mamini. So the translators confused eunuch with believer. He was not a eunuch because he couldn't have returned from Jerusalem worshiping Yahweh, because according to Devarim, Torah, a eunuch, someone who is castrated or cut in his private parts, the Torah calls it stones, we have another word for stones, cannot enter the temple of Yahweh. So that Ethiopian eunuch was not an Ethiopian eunuch, he was an Ethiopian mamina, a believer. Philip ministered to him from Isaiah chapter 53, preached Yeshua as the crucified, risen Lamb of Yahweh, and then the Ethiopian believer said, what prohibits me from being water mikvah? Philip said nothing. As soon as he had finished his task, Yahweh knew there was danger in the area, and he was translated from Gaza to Azotus. Where did Philip wind up, Darrell? I'm picking on you today, sorry. Thanksgiving privileges.
Azotus.
Azotus.